Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, every time we get an opportunity to do the solo thing, it's always somebody special that we have here on the Ed Block Podcast. I'm here with Wally. This is Wally Williams here. And today we're joined by, Mr. Football, Mr. Running Back, Mr. Ohio State, Mr. Heisman, Eddie George. Eddie George, thank you. Thank you for joining us, Eddie, man. I
Hey
appreciate
man,
it, man. Appreciate it.
glad to be here, Wally. It is a pleasure. Always enjoyed the Ed Block Courage Award. It's a great deal. Went there a few years ago for the ceremony, and it got first class personified. Such a great honor to be associated with this great organization. So it's my pleasure.
And see, and the reason why I asked you before we came on is like, man, how much time do you have? Look, you a guy who has an eclectic kind of development process here. Okay, you're not just you're our Renaissance man in football right now who is spread in many different places and had many different experiences. So I want to get off football right now because that's easy to talk about. That's easy to talk about.
Okay,
but talk about that transition. Okay, the transition we all go through when we leave this game. Okay, because you went into a totally different element. Okay. Totally different. So talk about that transition and talk about why, for the fans out there who don't know, that you got into some acting and some other things going on here. So talk about that.
Well, after I finished playing, I wanted to see what was next, and it was not easy. Trying to find your next thing, your next purpose. The same feeling that you got playing the game of football. That was a process, and it took for me to go through depression state, anger. It's all of the things that are associated with losing a loved one, because in essence, you're saying goodbye is the death of your football life.
Yes.
And then it opens up, a landscape of wonderful opportunities, but it can be daunting and intimidating if you don't know what that is. And it's okay if you don't know what that is. I think the most important thing for me was to surround myself with people that I admired, that have gone through it. Just trying to find out, well, damn, is it in the business world? Is it in acting? Is it as a commentator? Is it, a coach? I don't know. I'm trying to find out what's that next purpose in me. And that took some time to be developed. It took time to go into different areas of different careers, like as an actor, as a business person. I went back and got my master's in business. um I also studied to become an actor because I was hoping that would help out with my television career. And it led me down a path of storytelling and being on stage and doing different productions here in Nashville and abroad. Um, you know, and it just prepared me and developed in me, uh, a way of communicating and also listening that allows me to be a head coach now. So all of that I went through my transition from football to what I'm doing now as a head coach had prepared me in every area. So, I put myself in I'm sorry if I'm segueing into different areas, but
Mhm.
um, I put myself in difficult situations and uncomfortable situations so I could grow, you
It's
know.
on the way to grow, right?
Right.
Yeah, right.
Like when I went and got my master's in business, I didn't want to go online. I didn't want to go to no disrespect to other universities, to a local community college. I wanted to go to the best. I wanted to go to Harvard, Wharton, Kellogg, and I applied to all three, and I was able to go to Kellogg. And at Kellogg, in 2000, 2008, 9, 10, um, it was very difficult, to come from playing football into the world of business and to understand, finance, and to understand entrepreneurship, because I was getting into a lot of those deals, and I just didn't understand, what I was looking at, what to look for, what are the opportunities, what are the questions I need to ask.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I put myself in those situations. Say, hey, instead of me taking this to another business person for them to interpret it to me, if you read it back to me in layman's terms, I'm going to go understand it myself. So that's what I did. And then it was, hey, if I'm going to jump into acting, I'm going to jump in. and learn the art of acting. And I got with the acting coach, and I sat with her for 7 years prior to jumping on stage. And finally, I jumped on stage and failed miserably. We got all my lines, but I was able to come back and to overcome that fear, and went on to, perform on Broadway, singing and dancing, doing all that stuff. It's completely out of my comfort zone.
Right.
And so everything that I've done, I'm talking, I don't want to get too into the weeds with it because we'll be here all day.
Right.
But the transition was tough. It was daunting, but it was necessary. I was built for that. I had to go through that. And my advice to anybody that's going to go through that, because you will, is to attach yourself to things that are constructive, not destructive. Attach yourself to your faith, to your family, towards finding that purpose. Finding that purpose is a hidden treasure only found in God. So that's what I really had to go deep into, was my spiritual development, to find out, man, what am I here to do next? Because I wasn't just here to run a football and die. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's much
Yes.
more than that. And you have to explore that. Some people are complacent or comfortable with saying, hey, you know what? I played the game. Let me live off of my football life for the rest of my life. And that's fine. But you got to have the courage to jump out there, and when there is no life jacket. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
There
yeah.
is no, there is no, there is no lighthouse to guide you, but you're being guided by faith, and you're relying on that tenacity, that discipline, that focus, everything that you worked on in football to help guide you through to the next thing in the next phase of your life.
And that's excellent points, man. That's what we all go through as ex guys. 10-year vet myself who makes that transition, and
Mhm.
hey, it's nothing for me to run up against somebody that's 6'7", 350 right there in front of me. That's nothing. Okay,
Right,
to
right,
jump out
right,
there and take that risk, but
right.
parallel in the real life, it is a little bit intrepidating, and that's where some fear actually comes in there. But just like anything else, once you get over it, once you try it, you learn it, you build from there, and you keep it moving. So in building
Mhm.
from there, and all those things that you just all of the experiences that you had, it brought you right back to coaching. You got on that Tigers football shirt right there,
Yeah, yeah,
up there
yeah.
at TSU. So, yeah, talk about those experiences, just how they have got you prepared for where you are right now, and the choice to coach at a HBCU.
Well, yeah. What acting taught me was, one, to learn to tell a story, to tell your truth in imaginary circumstances. But more importantly, the greatest actors on the planet are the ones that listen, and
Mhm.
the art of listening, not waiting to respond, but to listen, and sometimes not to say a word. So in this situation, I had to come in and listen to the players, listen to everyone that was around the program, and to see where the problems were, but also the opportunity. They didn't come in with a whole bunch of declarations. Oh, this is how we got to do to win the championship, and we want to tear this down. I'm gonna change this. Now, some things don't need to be changed. Things need to be tweaked. Some people need to be removed. And my thing is, I come from a positive, optimistic perspective, and that's how I choose to coach. I'm always going to tell you, not what to do, but how to. This is what we do. Here's the standard. We live to the standard. We think outside. No, we eliminate the box on our thinking. There is no box. You know what I'm saying? We operate by faith and not by sight. And faith is broken down to an acronym, and it's focus. Where's your focus on a daily basis? Your attitude, having a positive attitude when you walk through the door. Your intention, setting your intention for the day to get better each and every day. Like today, my intention is to get this team locked in and focused on the minute details of our preparation so we win today. So therefore Saturday will take care of itself. And then trusting the process. Trusting the process. Hey, there is no such thing as losing. We learn. We have to learn, and then we have to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Trusting your teammates, trusting the work that you put in, and then the help. Once you understand the process, are you helping the next man? Are you helping your unit become better? It's not just about you. We talk about 9 units strong, being 9 units strong in November. So those are the things that I brought to the table and that I've learned in this process of really trying to create a program inside and out, is developing the culture first, and seeing the benefits just flourish throughout that whole process.
Now, again, off the air, before we started, I said this. I said, don't be intimidated by these colors. And you was like, well, what colors are those? All right. So listen. There's some HBCU stuff out here, Eddie. And, and I know you may not be as
Well,
well.
well, well,
Hey,
well, well. I know colors they are. I'm teasing you about that. I'm very familiar with Fairview. I'm
hey,
very familiar
hey,
with Jackson.
you
I
know,
know, yeah.
hey, you know how we take it personal down here, baby. And it's homecoming too. Oh, yes.
Oh
Oh,
no, that was a
yes.
little dig at you. I know exactly. Listen, I have tremendous respect for HBCUs. A lot of guys that have come. Let's first of all, your goat of goats, they're in the NFL Hall of Fame. Walter Payton, Jerry Rice, hail from an
Yes.
HBCU. All right.
Yes.
Shannon Sharp, Aeneas Williams, the list goes on. Richard Dent, Claude Humphreys. So I'm
Yes.
very well versed in that world. And when you come from an HBCU, you know the product that you're getting, because it's tougher. It is tougher coming
Yes.
from these universities, because you don't have a ton of resources. You don't have the same things as a PWI, and that's okay. You just learn how to do hard better, and you appreciate things a lot more. And the work ethic is completely different.
Mm.
You're always going. You learn how to grind. You know how to fight through adversity. So I'm very familiar with that brand. I grew up in Philadelphia. The cousins went to HBCUs. I went to Fort King Military Academy. A bunch of my friends went to Howard, Hampton, Virginia State. So every time I had a chance to go on a leave from Fort Union, I would go to their homecomings. And so, it's an honor and a privilege, honestly, to be able to coach here at Tennessee State. Never thought about getting into coaching. Never wanted to deal with the politics of coaching
Oh, yeah.
prior to taking the job, but this opportunity really was saying, God, here, I'm gonna take you from the front to the back.
Hmm.
And here's somebody that believes in you. And that was President Dr. Glenda Glover, who presented me with the opportunity. And I pushed it away, and just said, no, I want nothing to do with it. But ever since she asked me to be the head coach, I kept thinking of all the things that I wanted to do, or how I could enhance and add value to young men's lives as a football coach. And I'm
Hmm.
thinking down to a curriculum of, understand, getting the mindset right, and then financial literacy, and then preparing them for life after the game, and then the
Yes.
strength and conditioning program. And, just all of these things were just
Yes.
going on in my head. And it just pushed me like, man, this is in my heart. And it was something that I felt like, if I didn't do this, would I regret it? And that answer was yes. I said, you know what? Let me immerse myself fully into this, and give it my best shot. And will ultimately help young men become men, and give them the set of tools that I had um, coming up in the business, and how it's benefited me in my life, so they can have that transition. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh, yes, definitely.
that was, and I had to mature into that. It's funny. I know I'm jumping around, but
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I had a conversation with Orlando Pace
Uh-huh.
just recently, this past weekend at Columbus. We were at the game together. We were just sitting back talking. We were
Hmm.
talking about coaching, and I told him, I said, I wasn't prepared 10 years ago to become a head coach or get into coaching. I had some maturing to do that needed to be developed. I had some
Wait a
things
minute. So
had to.
hold on. Wait a minute. You saying after all of your accolades, all the playing,
Mhm.
everything, all the experiences that you've ever had in your career, you were not prepared to coach 10 years ago. At that
No,
point, you were not prepared to coach when you retired.
no, because I wasn't mature enough
Mm.
to take that on. You know, um, there's some things that had to be developed in me or taken away from me. I had to be shaped and molded into that. And it took a process for me to get to that place, so I can get there mentally, spiritually speaking. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I just wasn't ready for that. So over that period in time, when I turned I was 47 when I took this job. So yeah, 47, 48 years old. It I was ready. You know what I'm saying? So God takes you through different career paths, different jobs, different experiences, not for your benefit, but for his benefit. And it's molding you and shaping you for the next thing. So, and that's how it works. That's how life works. You're not your job. You're not just going to be a journalist for forever. And that's who you are. That's what you've done. And you mature into something else, or football player, or a doctor, or whatever profession that you going into, you're finding your purpose and how it impacts others.
And like I said earlier, man, you've won just about every award that you can possibly win, but there's always that big one out there. There's always that big one. So, in my opinion, it's your turn. All right, and you get mentioned with our guy, another HBCU all-time great, Steve McNair.
Oh,
who was your
yes.
teammate, all those things like that. So talk about that emotion, hearing that name. I'll never be in that situation, but you hearing that name and hearing that opportunity to get that gold jacket.
That was another topic that Orlando and I talked about as well. And you know, if I'm deserving, man. And somebody asked me, well, does it make you mad that you're not in yet? And I said it could, but I refuse to be bitter. I refuse to be bitter and upset about not being in the Hall of Fame. I would be overwhelmed. Don't get me wrong. But, at the end of the day, it really doesn't define you. It honors you. And you have an opportunity to honor the people that have helped you get there. You have a chance to relive your playing days and thank those that have helped you. My mother, my father, my sister, my grandmother, my aunts, my uncles, my coaches, teammates, faculty members, teachers, my wife, my children. It's a moment that I can show them on a grand stage. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
And
right.
and man, it would be amazing. It would be amazing for Steve to be recognized, because it's not the numbers, man. And this is the thing, you get so caught up into the stats, and that's just the finger on the body of the whole football life. Is what you
Right.
don't see from Monday to Sunday. There were moments, man, where we didn't know Steve was going to play at all. He wouldn't practice the entire week. The year he
Yes.
won the MVP, he didn't practice the entire week. He was in the training room, lived in the training room, doubled down on his treatments. We'll see him come out 20 minutes before the game out of the dark room where he was taking his nap at the stadiums and perform and carry us on his back. Played hurt, played not feeling appreciated. I've seen this man in tears because of the frustration that he wasn't having the success that people thought he should have had. And so he truly matured into that. I mean, it was an amazing football life that he lived. And yes, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Not so much on his numbers, but his grit, his determination, his grind, all the things that we talk about in terms of being a football player. He was that. You know what I'm saying? And
Oh,
and that
yes.
and that deserves to be rewarded. I mean, for the guys that have played with and against Steve McNair, will attest to say, listen, he didn't throw for 50,000 yards. I mean, he could have done that. He could have gone from team to team to build up the stats to get in to make a claim for it. But how he played the game, how he sacrificed, how he performed week in and week out, unmatched, completely unmatched.
And a lot of people they just saw the NFL. Okay,
Hmm.
Steve McNair. They don't even know about the air part.
Right.
Okay, and where that manifested from coming out of Alcorn State, and
Yes.
how extreme his numbers were during his career. and him being up for the Heisman. Was that the same year you win the
No,
Heisman? But
it was.
he was
Listen,
what, third in voting or
I a third or second in voting. I remember watching Steve in college.
mm,
Like I said, I was a junior in college, and there was the SI article, Sports Illustrated article that came out with him on the cover, said, "Hand him the Heisman."
yes, yes.
And at that time, we didn't have social media where we can watch highlights, or all I can do is watch highlights on ESPN of this dude. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, first of all, where is Alcorn or Alcorn, or trying to find, it's always Alcorn, it's Alcorn State.
Right.
And where is it? Who is this guy? He is a wizard. He is a beast. And then they tried to question, well, who's his competition? It didn't matter. Dude was back there extending plays, throwing a beautiful ball. It's a warrior. I remember watching him play against Youngstown State in the playoff game
Mm-hmm.
that year, and he knew he was going pro. And what stood out to me was it was in the cold weather. Steve hated cold. In the cold weather in Youngstown, team is not winning. He's hurt. He's still playing the game deep into the fourth quarter because of the love of his teammates
Mm-hmm.
and the respect that he had for his teammates and the respect he had for the game. He could have said, "Nah, I'm not. I'm done. I'm going to protect my own interest." And no, he still played. He played at a very high level. So that alone, what speaks volumes. And the fact that at that particular time, being an African American quarterback was not uh, ideal, so to speak. They
Yes,
weren't
correct.
necessarily looking for African American quarterbacks to lead their teams.
Correct.
Um, so we had to go through that stigma. So there's a lot that he had to fight,
Yes.
and he's not the first one. It was Warren Moon before him. There was Evans prior to him.
Mm-hmm.
There were a slew of other quarterbacks, but that was his time and his turn to carry that torch and to lead it in such a way and embrace it in such a way that he knew what that meant for him and for the culture, man. So um yeah, I mean, to me, it's really a no-brainer. If I had a vote, if I had the pen, the power to do that, to push him through, I would, because he
Yeah,
deserves it.
no doubt about it. So I know you mentioned earlier about Baltimore and Ed Block, and if you could, just for the people out here to know that we're not superhuman people. Okay, we actually
Yeah.
have real things that happen to us. Talk about your injury and talk about the process you went through to get back to your
Oh man.
high level of play. Talk about that process, because these guys don't know. Like you said, the grind and stuff that you do from Monday to Saturday, okay, gets you to Sunday. So
Yeah.
talk about that out there to our fans that listen.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I played in an era where, first of all, it was very physical and a very physical conference. And we all had played against physical defenses. The Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh twice, Baltimore twice, Cincinnati twice, us twice, Jacksonville twice,
Tough
Cleveland twice.
conference. Tough
It
conference.
was black and blue. And,
Black and
and we
blue.
all and it was a time when the running back position was revered and you were getting the ball
Mm-hmm.
30 and 30 out. So the 2000 season, I was banged up throughout that season. I think from like week 8 on, I was banged up. I separated ribs, a grade 3 sprain on my MCL. And I had a turf toe, which was the biggest culprit that I just couldn't shake. And I wound up having my best year that year. Had 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, something like that. And went to the Pro Bowl. But I was hurt, so I was going to opt out of the Pro Bowl. But I said, man, let me not do that, because you never know when you can go. I mean, that's when it was a rite of passage to go to Hawaii, get your lay, your Mai Tais, sitting around the pool, talking, shooting
Oh
shot
yeah.
with the rest of the. I mean, that was a rite of passage, right? So,
Yes.
um, that was it. So I went and I played, and I felt the pop in practice in my foot. I said, man, that interesting. but I didn't think anything of it. My toe was still sore. I got through the game. Then I came back, had my doctor look at it just to see what was going on. They noticed
Mhm.
that my sesamoid bone on my toe was floating in my arch, and they were
Mm.
like, "This is not good." He says, "We're gonna have to do surgery." I said, "What's the process? It's gonna take you 8 to 9 months
Eight to
to
nine
recover."
months.
This is in January.
Oh my gosh.
So you got to go through OTAs, you got to train, you got to get ready for the season.
Right.
So I got the surgery and immediately I started, you know, just the rehab process. Very difficult. Came back that year, did not miss a game. Did not miss a game. Started, played, fought through it. Had a sprained ankle through it also on the same foot. It felt like I was running like on a flat tire. I had a hitch in my gait and had my worst year. I still almost had 1,000 yards that year, but that was a tough year. And then the following year after that, got in optimal shape, went out west, worked with Jerry Rice, and got on the hill and just it built myself back up. And I went on to have a 1,200-yard year and I think 12 touchdowns, something like that. Thereafter, and was able to get through it. So the injuries are a big part of the game, I'm really proud to say that during my career, during my Titan career, I never missed a game due to injury. I started every single game in 8 years. And, one of two players in the history of the game to have rushed for 10,000 yards without missing a start is myself and Jim Brown. So that I hold very dear to in terms of my accomplishment to fight through it, to embrace the pain, to manage it, and to really understand my body and to get it ready from Sunday to Sunday.
It's always interesting when I talk to guys and we get into, because Ed Block, gives us the opportunity to talk about other things and get into the injuries and the process. Guys had that same smirk in their face when it was like, man, the rehab, the rehab and getting back and like, wow, it
It's
was,
daunting, man.
it
It's tough.
is a tough thing. And it is also a sense of accomplishment at the
Yeah.
same time. Once you get back and you have gone through all those things and you're able to get back to a high level of play and keep your career going. So speaking of that, you said of being a big back and just to see the modern day game the way it's changed. You know who I'm going to talk about because it damn sure reminds me of you running down the field. I've seen that happen a lot of times, but Derrick Henry and his success and just being a big back period when you see guys like Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders, who kind of been the mold of what running backs are. But like I said, Jim Brown was the biggest running back I'd ever seen in my life. Okay, when I
Mhm.
first met him coming out of college, and then to see you other guys come through. Talk about the advantages and the disadvantages of having that size and speed, and yeah, being a big target in the backfield.
Well, the disadvantage is that, yeah, you're a big target. you know, and we're often volume runners, whereas Emmett and Barry, there's no other player like Barry. I don't think there'll ever be one like Barry
Right.
because of his ability to make people miss. He wasn't going to run you over. You could never get a clean shot on him. You could never touch him. He was literally like a cat out there on the field with agility, ability, balance, vision, all of it. He is the ultimate back. Emmett, same thing. And he was a powerful guy. So for us, for me, I had, I tried to blend that with having the ability to be elusive enough to make you miss, to make you think, but also to be powerful to drop the shoulder on you if I have to. And it became a chess match for me, set them up in the first quarter is to pound them, just pound them, just let them know that this is how it's going to be for 4 quarters. And it's not the first hit, it's gonna be that second and third hit that you're like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. And then that's when I'll throw the spin move or make you miss or that opportunity on you. So those were the advantages for me is that when it got late in the third, fourth quarter, I was going to lean on you. That's why I really worked on my conditioning. I prided myself on being the best conditioned athlete on the field, period. So that way I can, that's where I'm at my best. And I'm working on, um, taking your soul, imposing my will in the fourth quarter
That's
and
right.
making you
That's
quit.
right. Right.
That's where it counts. Is that
Exactly.
you talk about Derrick Henry, he's just this. It's a softening process. And it just becomes, it's those body blows. You know what I'm saying? Taking away the gas tank. In the boxing, not on the headshot is boom to the gut, bang to the liver, pop, kidney shot, boom, back to the gut. And then fake that gut shot, then to the head. You know what I'm saying? But those painful body blows over time is duo, is gut, is counter. And you don't want to see a 250-pound man that's running a 4.5
You
like
don't.
that consistently. You don't want, let
Nobody.
alone the first, you don't want to see that.
Nobody. They'll say they want to see it, but nobody wants
Right.
to see that, man.
Nah, you don't want to see that.
They don't want to
You
see
don't want to see that for four quarters.
that.
So, that was the mentality, man. And Derek is doing it at a high level. It's amazing that he's still, having the career that he's having late in his career.
Mhm.
And he's making a very, very strong statement of becoming one of the greatest of all time. And I think he's putting on that, to me, a Hall of Fame career. It started off slow. He shared the backfield with DeMarco Murray's first year at Tennessee, and then when the show became his, did not look back, did not turn back, and I'm really proud and happy for him.
Well, man, we appreciate you for taking time out of your busy schedule, okay, to talk to us about your career and everything that you've been going through to get to where you are today. I love that tiger shirt on the front of your jersey and what you're
I gotta
doing
get, I
for
gotta
my
change you
brothers at
those colors, brother.
HBCUs.
I
Hey,
gotta.
man.
Let me ask you
Hey,
this: you went to FAMU?
I went to FAMU, man. I went to
Oh, okay.
FAMU.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Hey,
yes.
listen, nothing but respect. I knew exactly who you were. I didn't. I don't want you to think that I didn't. I was just teasing you about it, but no, nothing but respect for that program. Man, they've done it year after year, and just to see where that program has been, where it's going, continue to go, has been awesome. Would love to get a home and home with you guys. Well, actually,
Hey,
get back to Atlanta for
yes,
the Classic. So we
that's
got
the
to
one.
try to make that happen at some
That-
point in time.
That's the one. Hey, I met a lot of guys. One of my teammates that I actually fought against in that game with FAMU and Tennessee State way back in 80, 89, 90, ended up being my teammate, guy named Anthony Pleasant.
Anthony,
Okay.
yes, yes,
Yes,
yes,
AP.
yes.
Me and AP were teammates in Cleveland, and that's how. Hey, it was going on way back then. You saw those guys that were coming
Yeah,
through the league during that time. So, AP, one of my teammates there, and not too many people knew this, but Robert Porcher started there and
I know.
transferred to South
South
Carolina State.
Carolina State. And,
There
and
you
and the
go.
story goes is that Robert was going through the conditioning test. It was like, you know what? I'm good. So, didn't get on the field. Just the conditioning test.
Take
That's
them
how
somewhere
hard.
else.
Hey, that's man. Hey, that's how it is, man. We still got the same hill, still got the same track,
It's a
but
little different.
it's a little different. It's a
It's a
different
little different.
mentality, man.
A
I
little
mean,
different, man.
you gotta dig a lot deeper to be successful, and these kids are, man. And it's been an honor to do it.
Hey man, hey, I'm gonna go talk to Coach about this home and home thing now. But getting to Atlanta again and
There you
get that
go.
going. Okay, FAMU TSU got to get back going. That's always been a flame contest right there. So
Yes, yes,
yes,
it has.
yes, my man.
Yeah.
So for my guys, for my co-host Dave Steinwater, okay, Dwayne Clemens, all right. My other guy who's a fan, you got Dwayne Brooks, all right. All my
Dwayne
guys who
Brooks.
are not here,
Yes,
yes.
yes,
All my
yes.
guys who's a trainer, Eddie, we appreciate you, man. Coach George, we appreciate you, man. And look, anytime, Baltimore is always open doors for you. All right, come hang out with us. Come to the Ed Block event. We'd love to have you there and hang out with us, man.
Yes, sir.
And definitely share all these stories and have a great time.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, Wally. Have a great day, babe.
All right, my man. You too. Thank you.
All right, Brett Dickinson here with 2003 Carolina Panthers Courage Award recipient and now current head coach at UCLA for the Bruins, Deshuan Foster. Deshuan, thank you for taking some time to chat with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, first things first, when we start to talk with some of these guys, we actually like to look back in the moment that they were selected for the Courage Award. And this is a very unique award because of the nature of how you are selected and your teammates picking you, and the fact that it's for overcoming adversity. Looking back at that moment, and now I know it's, you were looking almost 20 years ago now, but can you revisit any thoughts that you might have had when you were picked by your teammates to win the Ed Block Courage Award?
Well, I won it my second year. So my rookie year, came in, got drafted to the Panthers, was excited, was playing really well, and then got hurt in preseason.
Yep.
And then came back from microfracture, and then we went to the Super Bowl that year too. So it's like I was just telling some of my other coworkers, like it was just amazing. Like, this is one of the awards that I really cherish just because, like you said, it's voted by your teammates, and it was just good to see like guys saw how hard I worked and just to get back on the field. And then we had such a iconic season at the same time. So it was just pretty awesome.
Yeah, and talking about that iconic season and looking back at your career achievements, obviously you've played in the Super Bowl, second round pick, Ed Block Courage Award winner, but it all started at UCLA. Your college career, and you've made your way back there. Can you tell us, how important was it for you to kind of give back to that UCLA community, knowing that you got your NFL career really started back in college there yourself?
It was just pretty huge. I just wanted to come back, and I actually didn't know I wanted to coach, so I was just coming back to finish my degree. And the AD over football was one of my coaches, and he was just like, if you're going to be here on campus every day, then just come by the football facility. And, one thing led to another. I figured out I could teach, and here we are, 12 years later, I'm the head coach. But it just shows you what UCLA can do for you. They've been taking care of me for 20 years, and just, just getting me ready for the next points of my life. And I guess molding who I am helped me get the Ed Block Award too. So, it was just an awesome little situation.
Yeah, and talk about just irony. You leave the Charlotte area to go to UCLA and then immediately get drafted back there. Getting a chance to play in your hometown, did that make it a little bit more special that most of your career was spent in that Carolina area?
Yeah, most definitely it was. So I was born in Charlotte, but I was raised in California though.
Gotcha.
My dad, yeah. So both my dad and my mom, they went to high school in Charlotte, but I was raised in California. And then just getting back drafted to Carolina was awesome, just because all of my family was there, both grandparents, everybody was in Charlotte. So we were really the only people in our family that was out of the state. So it was just awesome to be able to come back and have your family be able to watch you every Sunday.
And talking about family, we like to ask all the past recipients this is, we look at this award as overcoming adversity and having courage, but somebody instilled those values in you at a younger age. Can you talk about who was that inspiration that you had growing up that kind of instilled those values of courage, inspiration, and overcoming adversity to lead to you even winning the award?
I think just both my parents, just always being there for me and just instilling me to always work hard and no matter what the situation is. And I think it just, it was unfortunate I got hurt and the type of injury that I had that, it was pretty tough to come back from, but I had to stay resilient, stay in my word and was able to get past that. So, it was just awesome that my teammates were able to recognize that and I got this award.
All right. Last thing for you, and it's going to be a couple questions for you. And, I might throw you a couple curveballs, but these are questions actually given to us by the kids that we support here at St. Vincent'sville, the Baltimore Ravens Courage House. So they gave us some hard ones. So I'm going to throw them out to you and just see how you do with it. All right.
Okay.
All right. First one. Looking back at your NFL career, who was that one guy that you got most excited for to play against? I'm guessing probably maybe a defensive linebacker, a lineman. Who was that one guy that when that calendar came out, you circled that game and said, I'm ready to play him?
You always wanted to show up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, just because it was a really good defense back then. So that's John Lynch, that's Derek Brooks, that's Warren Sapp. They had a lot of guys at each level that were special. So I would say just that whole Tampa Bay defense at that time.
Yeah, Super Bowl champions at one point in their careers as well. All right, go to karaoke song. This is usually the stump one.
We're gonna go Snoop, DRE.
All right, there you go. I love it. I love it. Favorite flavored ice cream?
Strawberry.
Strawberry. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then last thing for you from the kids, and you get to watch it on Sundays, so you obviously been in the realm. Who's the best player in the NFL right now?
Best player in the NFL right now, man. I'm gonna give it to a running back. So it's Big Henry
There you
with the
go. There you
Ravens.
go. I'll tell you what, we're here in Baltimore and they're loving them around here. So
You
it's
know?
definitely working out. Obviously larger than life in more than ways than one. And then I'm going to finish up with one. I'm going to throw one at you real quick, a little bit of a curveball. You're in California. You're looking at all that, sushi and all that fresh food out there. Are you going to California sushi or are you going Carolina barbecue to finish you off?
Oh man, see, that's tough right there. Now, if I'm starving, I'm going barbecue.
Obviously.
But if it's just a tie me over meal, I'm gonna go that sushi.
Sushi. All right, there he is, Deshuan Foster, 2003 Carolina Panthers Courage Award recipient and winner of his first game in the Big Ten. Big congratulations! Huge mark in your career, in your coaching career. Someone that's come up the ranks and playing for coaching for his alma mater. So congratulations! We really look forward to see where you're headed as the head coach of the Bruins in the near future as well.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Deshuan.
All right, bro. Thanks.
All right, Brett Dickinson in here with 2019 Ed Block Courage Award recipient for the Green Bay Packers, Mason Crosby. Mason, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, Brett.
I appreciate you. And it's not every day we get a kicker come through as an Ed Block Courage Award winner, but when you do win it, I think it just means just a little bit more because of the connection you have with the team and your teammates voting on that. Can you just kind of reflect back to that moment when you were selected, knowing that the guys in the locker room picked you? A guy that kickers aren't heavily into the game plan. You kind of got to do your own thing during practice, but those guys recognize all the hard work you put in to get back on the field and what it meant to you being selected by them.
Yeah, obviously have a lot of respect for what this award is and all the recipients that have come before me and after me. It's it was special. It was 2019 was a trying year for me and my family in many ways. For me, it wasn't necessarily things that affected me, my body physically, but emotionally, and the things that we had to go through off the field were really tough. So to just give reference, to start that season, my wife was diagnosed with lung cancer, non-smoker lung tumor, and we went through the process trying to figure out what that was going to look like. Was she going to have chemo, have surgery, all those things right at the start of training camp. So went through training camp kind of with a plan. Right at the end of training camp, as final cuts, everything was kind of getting figured out. She had an operation to remove that tumor, and we felt so fortunate that they seemed to get it all, and it was all good. And she started her recovery process. So that was kind of the start of the 2019 season, and some of the things that we had kind of gone through and battled through to start that season. And then as the season progressed, she's still recovering. I kind of had a bounce back season from a year that was tricky. We have new coaching staff, all the stuff, and then come Thanksgiving, day after Thanksgiving, really sad day. My brother's wife passed away from ovarian cancer the day after Thanksgiving, and we, as we all know, as athletes and people that follow the game, you don't really get days off. You don't get a lot of time off. So I flew down to Texas to be with him on that Friday. Flew from Texas on Saturday to go play in the New York Giants game, and then back down to Texas for the funeral and all those things. So kind of, I think, what maybe brought me into this award, and my teammates seeing the resiliency, the ability to just be unwavering in my commitment to my family and to the team, through trying times, and it says a lot, about what my team was and what they saw me as, and just what this award is about. It's about overcoming adversity, overcoming things physically or in our life that that we're able to still pursue excellence on the field, even whenever things around us might be difficult.
Yeah, it's you're one of the unique stories, and we hear a lot of stories of players overcoming adversity, and that one's obviously, like you said, a little bit more mental, so probably a little bit more taxing than people even realize when you're trying to get through a full season. So we certainly appreciate everything that you did to earn the award. And talking about that, part of it is not just about what you're doing on the field and overcoming adversity there, but also being a pillar in the community. And you talk about just kind of being able to work in the community and give back, and what that kind of means to you and your family, knowing that everything you've been through over the past several years.
Yeah, obviously, it's something extremely important to us, and I was fortunate enough to be raised in a household that giving back and being part of the community is important. So my mom actually runs a charitable organization in my hometown still, called The Locker, and my sister works for the organization as well. And it's kind of an all hands on deck Crosby endeavor. We have a golf event every year, multiple other events throughout the year that we all support and help out with. And it's to help and kind of give the kids of that community and the communities that they serve the opportunity to succeed. I look at it as almost the foundation as almost like a Make-A-Wish without the medical side of it. So it's kind of like the unseen things and like the hope piece and the piece that kind of drives you forward to give opportunity. So it's crazy. I grew up in the town, Georgetown, Texas, didn't see the homeless need, didn't see it just on the streets and on a regular basis, but there were kids that were in needing of hygiene products, uniforms for jobs, caps and gowns, just transportation needs. So all of those things my mom's organization steps into, and it's something that's passionate for me. And then kind of on the cancer front, I've been involved in the Lombardi Cancer Foundation for a very long time, as well as some other organizations, but that one's near and dear to my heart. And still try to go back to the golf event and be a part of that organization as much as possible. So yeah, giving back to the community is always something that's been important to me and my family, and we're trying to raise our kids the same way to continue to have that support and know that it's bigger than you. The game's big. Everything. There's so many things that are more important than pumping yourself up and taking what you can get from this world. So hopefully I can be an inspiration in that, and at the very least, I can hopefully teach my kids how to continue that legacy forward.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking to somebody as an executive director of the Ed Block Courage Award Foundation. I first of all certainly understand the all hands on deck approach, because we have it here year round, and everybody's got to kind of be involved. And we certainly understand all the hard work that your whole family goes through to put all that together for kids in need, which is right up our alley as well.
That's
right. We certainly appreciate all that, and we'd love to help you and collaborate with you any way we possibly can in the future as well. So let's get in a little bit about you and just kind of, your personal life now. You've had a very nice long career with the Green Bay Packers, Super Bowl champion, had a great college career, 2-time All-American. You're sitting back now and kind of, trying to figure out what you're going to do with this second act of your life. And now all of a sudden you're doing daytime radio every morning, the Mason Crosby show. How did that transition go? Did you find it difficult to kind of get in the groove of radio? As a guy that has done radio in the past, I certainly understand that it takes a lot of practice and a lot of work to get good at your job. So we love to hear how you kind of were able to transition and some of the difficulties you may have came across.
Yeah, so we're in starting week, what is this, week 3, I guess, of the show. So still very, very fresh. You go on radio shows, you do things like this all the time while you're playing, and you're like, okay, I could jump into radio, no big deal. But there's some nuance to it, and there's a flow and a rhythm. Getting used to the co-hosts and the people that you're working with, even just the fact that you have a producer and you have people to kind of checks and balances and bank things off of. Some of that, obviously, they are so vital and so important. But then you're just I kind of have to remember sometimes, like, oh man, I can use them for some things. Like,
Right.
I feel sometimes like I'm like, I have to reach and find all the stuff myself. And it's like, oh, if I just ask, our producer's name's Tommy, if I just ask him, he's like, oh yeah, here's stats, here's the stuff, all the things. I'm like, oh man, that would have taken me an hour to like run down. So, but you know, some fun things is I'm watching a lot of sports, which I love, and I can tell my wife and you know, call it a job still, which is nice. I've been playing ball forever. You know, it's for as long as I can remember as a kid, and I still golf and play soccer and do stuff with my kids all the time. So sports will always be very much a part of my life. But I find myself not being in a locker room all the time, not doing all that. So I am enjoying those, still having that connected piece where I can talk about my locker room experiences and the stuff that I gained and the knowledge I gained. I feel, again, just like helping in the community and all that, if I don't kind of share this wealth of knowledge out into the world, I feel like I'm kind of missing the next step as well. Because those experiences and that, you know, the insight that I can kind of bring into that space, and then, you know, being able to talk about my charitable stuff and the things that I'm doing in the community and all these other things it's just a great platform. So I've enjoyed being able to do that. You know, so I'm doing that there locally, and then my brother and I actually have started. We're diving into the podcast space, I guess, like a lot of people do these days. But you know, kind of a unique perspective that we're trying to take from our love of sports, and in particular soccer, so international football, if you will, and then American football, and kind of almost a compare contrast on what the fan bases are and how things are produced as far as the commercial side of the two sports. And so diving into that, my brother's funny. He's a great comedic relief and gives some hilarious insights. And we started kind of throwing some podcasts down in the summer, took a little break, but now with this new radio gig and the opportunity I have there, we're going to ramp it up and try to fold it into the business side of things and see if we can't make it something fun and potentially impactful down the road.
All right, there you go. There you go. Soccer and football melded together. I love it.
That's
I think
right.
fan bases, it's obviously soccer rapidly growing here. I'm going to ask you, because everybody here in the United States, we kind of pick somebody out in the international world of their team. Who's that team for you? Who's that one team that you're rooting for? English Premier League, Champions League, whatever it is.
Yeah, so my Premier League team is Liverpool. I'm a Red on that side of things, and followed them for a long time. We used to actually have some youth soccer teams from the Liverpool area that would come over and play in the Dallas Cup in Texas. So we'd have them stay at our house, and we'd host their club, and we'd actually play some friendlies against them and things like that. So getting to know them kind of on that personal level really helped with my supportership, just going towards Liverpool from early on. It's very divided there, which is so unique. They have Everton is literally half a mile. Their stadiums are half a mile apart, Liverpool and Everton. So the concept of their whole fan base is very fragmented and divided. And I mean, they're neighbors, and they might just not talk because they are blue and red. And so
Absolutely.
But we have our fan bases here in the States for our NFL teams, for our college teams and all that, but we can still coexist. Over in England, it's not always the case. Fantasy soccer, I don't think, binds people like sometimes fantasy football does over here. But I also have a cool venture that I've taken on here the past couple of years. That was a part of a charitable organization I've been involved with for a long time, helping kind of underdeveloped countries, specifically some areas in Africa and in Haiti, to kind of like the concept is we bring soccer into these areas, and we build fields, and we bring some micro commerce through chicken and egg laying operations, banana plantations, farming and things like that. And through that soccer program, we've actually developed some extensive, some really good academy players, soccer players that are going professional down the road. So this has been going for a long time. And through my involvement with this organization, I was like, we need to find a way to legitimize the for-profit side for the soccer academy. And a few other people involved started getting this idea. So we put a business together, and nothing was like taking hold. So we actually, some other investors wanted to get involved in soccer and sports ownership side of the business. So we actually bought into a soccer club there in England called Walsall FC, which is down in League Two, which is like the fourth tier of the professional league. So kind of, everyone's heard the Wrexham story, and I know, Tom Brady owns a piece of Birmingham FC, Birmingham City, and Burnley with J.J. Watt and those guys. So I guess, soccer ownership is becoming like this American pastime now, where a bunch of former and current athletes are diving into that space. But, my side of it, like, because of like my passion to help others and, work in that kind of space, this is an opportunity for me to kind of combine two things that I am passionate about, sports, soccer in general, and, being able to have that piece that is helping others as well to try to get out of these poverty situations. Just for me, it was a no-brainer. And so to be able to be involved in that has been kind of cool as well.
It's amazing story for, somebody you played so long in the NFL and you haven't stopped. So that's amazing.
Yeah,
seeing you just keep going. You don't seem like you're busy at all, his calendar probably filled up. I'm looking at my calendar now and looking at all the soccer practices and football practices I'm taking my kids to, and trying to run a charity and work multiple jobs. And I certainly feel for you. All right, let's get into a couple questions.
Sleep well at night.
Yeah, let's get in a couple questions from the kids. We got some fun questions from the kids, and they might stump you a little bit, but we want to start with, as a kicker, I'm not going to say player, but I'm going to say maybe either team or atmosphere or even stadium of what was that one game every year that you always circled that you just got excited to play at, whether it's a stadium or playing against a special teams coordinator or whatever it might be. Who was that one game a year that really stood out to you throughout your career that you got extra excited for to go up against?
Yeah, I think playing there in Green Bay, the Bears-Packers rivalry was always big time. So every time, twice a year, we got to play them. I mean, the highlights would start coming out, for that rivalry of all the historic games that we played. Through the years, I did kick off, so I had to kick to Devin Hester, quite a bit early on in my career, which was always a challenge, always something I stressed over during the week. And we would try to do some different things, try to get him moving, not get the ball in his hands easy. He had a game one time where I kicked it, kind of got him. He's in the end zone. He kind of scoops it up, and you almost assumed he took a knee, but he was just kind of walking kind of sideways in the end zone and then takes it out and busts it for 35 yards, And so just the awareness, some of the nuances to that game, there was always something exciting that would happen. And no matter what those teams were record-wise, when the Bears had been down or we maybe weren't having our best season, those games were always built up, exciting, fun, and it was obviously the longest standing rivalry in the NFL there. So it was a fun one to be a part of, and I'm glad I was part of the Packers teams that flipped the script and we took it to where we have the advantage in the win column.
Yeah, not as much of a rivalry over the past couple of years. No,
yeah, exactly.
No, the results, but yes, absolutely, that's what I expected. All right, I got a tough one for you.
Okay.
Go-to karaoke song.
Oh gosh, it's got to be Bon Jovi, "Living on a Prayer."
Hey, all right, had it ready in the chamber. I like it. Some guys waffle over that one for a while. You were ready. I like it. So
yeah, there's only a few songs that you kind of just can roll with, and if anything, you just start yelling, and that one kind of keep it rolling. So that's an easy one to jump into.
Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Man, I'm a simple guy. You give me just like chocolate chip, and not any chocolate chip. It's probably Bluebell chocolate chip would be my go-to because it's more of like a shaving or chunk, not necessarily the traditional chocolate chip. I'm more like the chunks. So
Very nuanced in the ice cream
Yeah.
selection as well. There you go.
Exactly.
And then last one from the kids, and over the past couple of years, there's been a common answer, but we've got some different ones. So I'm going to ask you, a retired player. You're doing radio now, so you got to be put on the spot every once in a while. Who's the best player in the NFL?
Best player in the NFL right now? That is a tough one. I mean, it's hard, and he's probably not having his best year by any means, but Patrick Mahomes, I think just as far as a leader of like that team and what they've been able to achieve, it'd be hard to overlook him as the best player in the NFL right now.
That's the common answer. I was leaning.
It's an easy one. That's
an easy one at this point. It was much harder 2 years ago when we started this, and he didn't have back-to-back Super Bowl wins.
Yeah, exactly.
So now it's kind of all right. Let's finish up. Let's talk a little bit about the Packers and what's going on this season. Obviously, Jordan Love, came back from injury after a couple of weeks. Packers were able to stay afloat, and now you got that tough NFC North division, and you got the Lions coming up. You've got Vikings playing really well, and even the Chicago Bears we talked about, but they're bouncing back and starting to play well. So what's your outlook for the Packers over the next couple of weeks, and just kind of seeing how this thing is going and how they've looked on the field, kind of gelling with Jordan Love, all these wide receivers, and that defense kind of getting put together as well.
Yeah. Obviously these last couple of weeks they've had to win the game, there at the end, and not the, maybe not the prettiest games that they've played so far this season. But I said this on my show: is those are the types of games I remember as a player that will pay dividends down the road. So they've shown that they are a gritty kind of willing to grind out games that maybe aren't going exactly the way that they had scripted. So I think that is a real positive for this team. This division is ridiculous. If the Bears don't have a Hail Mary thrown against them, against the Commanders, I mean, they're right there, same record as all the other teams in this division. Best division in football right now. No, hands down, no doubt. And they got a tough game coming up against the Lions, and a couple of injuries that we talked about this morning on the show that aren't as bad as that they could have been. So it sounds like Jordan Love is dealing with the groin thing, but hopeful that he's going to work through the week and might be able to play in the game. But again, talking about some of the things that are a little unique with this team, or Jordan Love was out, Malik Willis came in, a guy that hadn't been in the building until they traded for him, and they've kind of made him look like a game managing type of, just a really good quarterback. Whereas on the Titans, it was like they were happy to move on from him, just couldn't get the talent and the ability to take it on the field to mesh up. And I give LaFleur and what they've done there on the offensive side of the ball a lot of credit, because they've just been able to help him to do the things that he's really capable of doing and doing it well, and then leaning on Josh Jacobs to run the ball and all that. So I've been really impressed with this team so far this year, and what they've been able to do. And do I wish I could have always just kicked in green and gold for forever and never aged? Awesome, that would have been great. But it looks like maybe in McManus they've gotten a veteran guy, another veteran in there to be able to kind of hopefully solidify that kicking position a little bit, which has been an issue the last year and a half or so. So. I'm excited about this team. Their defense is relentless at taking the ball away, which is fun to watch. And I think they're going to be tough down the stretch. As the weather starts turning, you never can count the Packers out, because that's kind of what they're built for. But this game coming up, the Lions game, is going to be a tough one. And if they can find a way to win it, that would be awesome. But I think it's also just it's going to be a good measuring stick to see what this team, where they're at, and hopefully where they're headed.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of football left. And like you said, that division's, kind of stacked right now. So somebody's going to separate themselves. It might not take until the last week of the season. So we'll see how it goes. It's, the Packers fans aren't as used to this as they are right now, as it's been in the most recent history. So I'm sure they're a little bit more stressed than normal.
Well, saying they be cautiously optimistic.
That's my key word.
They're just cautiously optimistic. We're we're hopeful, we're optimistic, but there's always just this little, like, there's something in reserve. So it keeps you from losing your mind if stuff doesn't go as planned. And how they have the season structured now, you load up the end of the year with division games. So whatever happens, the last like 4 games are going to be critical, and we just have to gear up for those.
Yeah, as an Eagles fan, that is what I tell everyone before the season starts. They ask me how I feel about my team. That's my exact phrase. I just say cautiously optimistic and just leave it at that. So that's actually a key phrase of mine. I'm glad we're on the same wavelength there. All right, last thing for you before we head out. I always like to ask, past recipients to kind of, talk to the kids and just kind of give us a message that you can send to kids that are, at some of these courage houses across the country that could really use some support, and you hear from a role model like you of, words of inspiration on overcoming adversity. You have anything that we can, finish up with?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, that's keep your head up. This time in your life, is a challenge, and there's things that might not go your way, but this is there are people that are looking out for you and wanting the best for you. So never give up hope, never lose sight of what dreams you might have, and don't be afraid to dream big. This organization is seeking out opportunities to help kids and help those in need. So dream big, go chase that thing. And you know what? We're here, we're looking out for you, and we're watching every move that you're making. And I can wish all of you the best, and don't lose hope. Just stay focused. And education is so important. I have 5 kids at home, and I harp education at our house all the time. My wife and I, you don't get to play sports. You don't get to do anything in life if you don't focus on your education. So continue to learn, continue to grow, and read. And something that my wife is in the process of writing some books, and she has some great lines. And I hope that at some point we can put those out to the masses, because it hopefully will be inspirational. But something that I always kind of lean on in my life is, don't let your misses keep you from your makes. So don't let things that go wrong keep you from what could go right down the line. So continue to see the positives and what the future might hold. And don't let bumps in the road keep you from chasing after your dreams.
There he is, Mason Crosby, 2019 Green Bay Packers recipient and host of the Mason Crosby Show, among many other jobs that he has, plus 5 kids at home. He's never stopping. You can always find him 105.7 The Fan up in Milwaukee if you want to check him out 9 to 11 every day as well. Mason, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you for taking some time. And one last time, where can we find some of that charity stuff that your family's involved in?
Yeah, so it's the locker.org is my mom and my sister's organization that they run. And then I'm obviously heavily involved with the Vince Lombardi Cancer Foundation. Love Make-A-Wish. So Make-A-Wish Wisconsin, had to deal with them for a long time, and all of Make-A-Wish, just such great people, and great things that they do. So, and then check out my podcast, Kicking It with the Crosbys. We have a few episodes out there, and we'll start recording some new ones coming up. If you have a passion for sports, life, and love of soccer and football in general, that's your stop for some good stuff. And my brother and I, we get into it every once in a while, so it'll be good.
Sounds about right. I got a couple of those myself that they get into. I got 2 little ones at home that fight each other on brushing their teeth. At this point is our big argument. So it's
healthy. You got to have rivalry.
There you go. All right, Mason Crosby, thank you again. We certainly appreciate it, and looking forward to seeing everything you got going on and what's coming up in the future for you as well.
All right, really appreciate it, Brett.